Now, I didn't push record yet.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. I can always cut that part out. Well, when I made this pot, I actually made it much smaller, and I made it out of red concrete to begin with. It's concrete that you actually add a powder to the concrete that dyes it the color you want to go. And I went with red, and I didn't like it, so I went back and I overlaid it with more metal and actually made it twice as wide as it was. It looked fairly thin before. And I used the process of adding extra heavy metal here, not heavy metal, but I just bulged it up to get a different look. I don't particularly like the way this side looks, so that becomes the back side of the pot. And this is going to become the front side of the pot, which will be what we consider the front of the tree. Now this tree is sitting towards you on the front side. First thing we're going to do is move that tag out of the way. And the next stage is going to be to actually cut some wire, because when you do a new bonsai and you have Ron Salata coming over to your house, he's liable to pick up your tree by the stem of it or the trunk of it, and next thing you know, everything's on the ground because he pulled it right out of the pot. So we put a seat belt on it, and what we do is we go underneath at both sides. Now you'll see up on the counter here this big concrete slab. I could actually put this juniper on that slab today if I wanted, but I've chosen to go in this pot instead.
Did you hear your name, Ron?
Hi, Terry. Hey, Ron, did you hear your name? And that's when you showed up?
Your ears were not burning or anything?
Pardon me?
Your ears were not burning or anything?
No.
Yeah, I've done mention your name twice today.
In vain.
No, I told everybody that if you came over to my house, you're liable to pick up the tree by the trunk, and next thing you know, it's all over the ground. So we put these seat belts in here to make sure that doesn't happen. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get some clean space here by putting up this little device here, and I'm not going to fold up the corners today. First thing we're going to do is put a little layer of fresh soil at the base on the bottom of the tree. This is for drainage. This substrate or bonsai soil consists of 3 or 4 different items. We got what looks like pine bark, and actually looks like it's got black lava, and
Hummus.
it doesn't look like any pumice I've seen. It looks like calcified clay, sort of somebody's trying to make their own akadami. So once we get the pot ready with the base like that, we're going to get in here and unstrap this tree, because right now it's wired for sound. I have straps holding the branches down.
I love your turntable. What a great way to work on a plant. Never thought of it.
Yeah, that is a Christmas gift from my son up north. Well, actually I have 2 of them up north, but my son Shane, he knows how much I'm into bonsai, so he bought me this. And I actually have the card from the company where it came from, if anybody's interested in knowing. Now we use wire to control things on bonsai trees. This thing is also strapped in. cutting all of the ones going in that direction. I told him about our club, Ron. Told him we had no dues. Told him about the raffles.
And the meeting
This club's
tomorrow.
got $4,000 in the bank. They're definitely doing something different than we are. I think it's because they're just an older group. I mean, the club's been around longer. I'm not talking about people's ages now. I'm not talking about your ages. I'm going to be 74 on Friday, so I have no room to talk.
You're still young.
I've been doing this for 50 years. Not religiously. I took 10 years off to follow the Lord. Still following him, but he's giving me a break to come out and do this now. All right, once we get that stage done, the next stage is that we're going to start making a mess. And this is where we bring in different equipment. And today I'm using a root hook. Actually, it's more of a root saw. And I can see by the way this is coming away from the edges. This was actually repotted last year from a nursery container. This came, like I said, from K&K Nursery. It was listed as $12. I got it for $10. It is a Parsoni Juniper. And the first video I did with this is my biggest video of all time, which is over 10,000 views now. I can't say that about the rest of them. Out of the 274 films I've done thus far, and I've done 2 or 3 films with this particular juniper after the fact, and it never matched up to that first video.
So it was just time to transplant, or?
Well, we normally, down here in Florida, transplant junipers in what we call the dormant season. And that's the time for these right here, right now. This is the dormant season for junipers. That willowy ficus over there, their time doesn't come until late April, May, June, July, August, September, October. They have a longer time of doing it. So we are actually pulling it out of the pot. You'll notice that this pot has these plastic containers in here. Now you'll find that in bonsai, one of the most expensive things that we deal with is the pots. Now this is a Japanese pot. If you look carefully, it's got a Japanese signature there. And this pot cost me $100 back in the 90s. Back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Now, more than likely it'd be worth a lot more than that now if somebody was selling it. But this pot has a real story about it. I put a ficus tree in it, sort of like that one up there. Matter of fact, it was a willowy ficus. And I sold it to one of the club members here, and for $150. He, in turn, wounded the tree so badly that Ron had to come over and bring it back to health. Ron gives it back to him, then he kills it. And one of our other club members, Rod, another good Christian, us Christians are always getting great deals. He trades for that pot for one of these hemorrhoid cushions. And he puts 7 ficuses in it. Then one day I'm over at his house and he just up and gives it back to me. He didn't know it was actually mine. I think I probably told him. He gives it back to me, so it comes back into my possession. Of course, Ron's very upset by now. He thinks he should have got that pot.
I did my
And maybe he should have, I don't know, but
You saved it, that's
So
all.
why
That
are you
pot comes
raking-
around,
why
goes
are you
around.
raking it?
what I'm doing is that, we all go
See y'all,
and get
gotta go back to
haircuts.
Bye, Ron. Hey, Ron.
Have a great day.
We all take care of our hair by cutting it usually, trimming it, pruning it. In the Gospel of John, it talks about, in chapter 15, about we need to be pruned. And it's the same thing with bonsais. Not only do we prune the roots, we also prune the tops. And that's how we get the structures that we go through. So, I don't know if you noticed, but that pot that I just took it out of is larger than the pot that it's going in. And so, I need to reduce its root ball a considerable amount. About a third of the roots will come off the outer edges of it. I will do a little raking underneath here.
Terry, is that intentional, going from a larger pot to a smaller one?
It is for some pots, for some trees. As I was stating earlier, that ficus over there is forcing it out of that pot that it's in. It was in a pot, the ficus over there was in a pot that big and that deep when I first got it 9 years ago. And you couldn't even think about putting it back in that pot. But the idea of bonsai usually is to go from a nursery container or out of the yard or out of the wild into something smaller. And that's what gives it that look of being bonsai or subdued or whatever you want to call it.
How much has this grown since last year?
Well, the top of it was almost bare. So the top is actually grown quite a bit. All these roots that you're looking at, I think they're all brand new. And they're all getting clipped off. So, there it is. And this is what I took off. Now, this is the only part of it that I will actually throw in the trash, but, I probably could find something to do with it if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. And I'm a big proponent of using old bonsai soil. Now, some of the people out there won't even think about doing that, but I do, because there is this thing called mycorrhizin that's in the soil. It's sort of a fungi that helps the plant to grow. Now, this product is called Planktone, normally comes in a bag. Best price in towns at Walmart, if they carry it. Some Walmarts carry it, some don't. And I usually like to put it in the soil right beneath the roots, then a little bit on the top. And I'm building it up in the center because I want this tree to actually sit higher in the pot than it previously did. And you could actually come closer if you want for some of this.
And you're doing that because, why are you having it higher?
I am moving it up higher because it sits higher in the pot, looks better, and that's what I want to do with it. So I'm strapping on the seat belt here now.
Are you putting that through the through the roots or
Over
just on
top.
the
Sometimes we
root ball?
actually string it right into the roots, but this trip I'm going over.
Sorry, guys.
I forgot my
I'm taking up.
my pliers today, but luckily my good friend Diane here gave me this set a while back, and they were in my bag, so I'm utilizing them today. Wouldn't be right if I left home and didn't forget something. Now that's another thing about bonsai. Not only are the pots expensive if you go out to get a fancy pot, but I discovered a way around that, and that is to make my own pots. If you didn't know, Becky back there actually makes some of her own stuff.
She makes some beautiful pots.
And there are a tremendous amount of videos on YouTube that about bonsai and about concrete pot making. Now let's see if it passes the Ron test. All right, it passed the Ron test.
Sorry, guys.
All right, let's see. Next stage is just basically filling in the soil. That's the back side there. Now, believe it or not, all of you dealing with houseplants, plants outdoors, anything that's potted, what I just did to this can be done. You can take them out, trim them back, especially if you're trying to keep a particular plant in a certain pot that you just seem to really care for. And we use chopsticks to make sure that we get all the air pockets out of there. Does anybody have any questions?
Where do you keep your plants, your personal plants? In a greenhouse?
No, I keep them all outdoors. I brought approximately 10 of them inside during the frost. Those two up there were inside. The junipers are outside, usually on top of the frost cloth that's covering up the rest of them. I had some frost damage I have a couple bigger willow leaf ficuses than that. They got touched a little bit. I have two ficus benjaminas that got hit pretty good. And then I have a tiger bark ficus that got hit really hard because the frost cloth went right over it. And everywhere the foliage was touching underneath the frost cloth, got it. So if you're going to use frost cloth, find something to get so that the frost cloth is up. I didn't know that, but I live and learn. I've decided what I'm going to do now is, last year I actually brought them up on the deck and put a frost cloth over them. I didn't have any problems up there. And since then I have, I bought four new frost cloths. So I have 5 of them now, I believe. Something around, yeah, five frost cloths. Thinking I'm going to actually create an area up on my deck to bring them up there because the frost cloth I have up up on my deck is where the spider plant is, it's right up against the house, and totally unaffected. Same thing with the bougainvilleas, leading up to my property. It's not really my property, I rent. Yeah, is a whole row of bougainvilleas. They got frosted all the way to the base. So there we got the finished product. The next thing this thing needs is a good drink of water. And when I take it outside, I actually brought the watering can. I don't normally do that, but it is the next morning, and it did get watered outside the clubhouse. And here it is on this early Thursday morning. All I have to do is let it grow.